Hello everyone and welcome to the second lesson or the second video in the Experimental Mandarin Chinese video course, video lesson series. This is the second lesson where I try to teach or experimentally try to teach Chinese without Chinese characters and tones. If you'd like to know why, go ahead and check out the first video in the series. I explain the reasons why I decided to maybe try to make a course like this, or read the article that I will link under the video. But starting the second lesson, I would just like to go through the first lesson just to get you into the story, get you into the context, and then I will go on and continue with the text that I have prepared for the second lesson. So, we are again, as I said, during an orientation day, your first day at a Chinese university. A Chinese student comes up to you and he says the following thing. Hi, 你好，我是法律系的，我叫王英红，叫我阿红就可以了。嗨，你好，我是法律系的，我叫王英红，叫我阿红就可以了。So, translation, Hi, 你好, Hi, hello, 我是法律系的 I'm a Chinese department student. 我叫王英红 My name is 王英红，叫我阿红就可以了。Call me 阿红 and that's alright. You can call me 阿红. You don't have to call me Wang Yinghong. Alright, and now we go to what you reply. So the text is slightly longer. Let me go sentence by sentence. 我叫 Steven. 其实我有中文名字叫史蒂芬。你可以叫我 Steve. 我是中文系的交换学生。One more time. 我叫 Steven. 其实我有中文名字叫史蒂芬，你可以叫我 Steve。我是中文系的交换学生。Alright, so sentence by sentence or line by line. 我叫 Steven. My name is Steven. 我 means I, me, and 叫 means to be called, as we saw in the last lesson. Steven is Steven. So just like in English, same word order. I called Steven. My name is Steven. And as in the last lesson, I can just say that if you were to switch the word order of these two words and you would say 叫我 Steven, it would be just as in English. So saying call I Steven, it would be a sort of like a command, call me Steven. But since it's 我叫 Steven, I called Steven, my name is Steven. 其实我有中文名字. Actually, I have Chinese name. This is literally what this sentence says. 其实 means actually, 我 means I, 有 means to have, 中文 means Chinese, and 名字 is name. So the word order copies the English word order. Nothing special about that. Maybe just a little note on 中文. I'm not really sure if I told you this before, but it refers to the Chinese language. It should originally and very technically refer only to the written language, but it literally became so widely used for the spoken language as well that when you say 中文, everyone will probably understand that you refer to the spoken language, especially as a foreigner. So there are many other names for Chinese like Hanyu, Guoyu, and I don't know what else, but 中文 is a very standard way of calling Chinese as the language. Third line, 叫史蒂芬. So this is actually a connection to the sentence before. So he says, actually, I have a Chinese name, 叫史蒂芬. It's called 史蒂芬. So jiao, again, it's the same jiao as here. It means to be called. If you noticed, there is no subject. This is like a symbol for subject. It's not, but I just made it up so that you know that maybe there should be something there. Chinese is a very contextual language, and it very, very often omits the subject or the topic of a sentence. You just have to feel, and you do feel, it's pretty straightforward. If you speak Chinese, you know that the missing topic or the subject of this particular verb over here is the name. So he says called 史蒂芬, but it basically should be it's called, or the name is called 史蒂芬. Now what is this 史蒂芬 thing? I think maybe some of you or maybe a lot of you know that in Chinese you have only 300 to 400 syllables. So if you want to transliterate Western names of people or cities or anything you want, and you want to use Chinese characters and Chinese syllables, you only have a very limited choice. So the closest you can get to spelling, or I should say syllabizing, if there is a word like that, Stephen into Chinese is 史提芬, because there is no sti, there is no ven in Chinese, and the only thing you can do is do this, 史提芬. For instance, Martin would be 马丁, Alexander would be 亚历山大, Berlin, the city, would be 柏林. Let me think. Moscow would be 莫斯科, yeah, or 莫斯科. Not really sure what the tones there are. So yeah, 史提芬 is the Chinese official, I think, transliteration of the word Stephen into Chinese. But a lot of people don't like what their names sound when transliterated into Chinese. Me personally, I don't like my name Vladimir transliterated into Chinese too much either. It's Vladimir, if I'm not mistaken. Vladimir. So I have a Chinese name, and Stephen also says he doesn't like his name too much, and he says 你可以叫我 Steve. And word by word it is 你 is you, 可以 it means you can or can. 叫 is the same 叫 again, so call. 我 is the same 我 means I, and Steve. So you can call I Steve. You can call me Steve. Again, we are following the English word order. Like I said in the first lesson, you can use this anytime. Well, not anytime you want, but very often. If you speak English well, maybe you are a native speaker, it's easier for you because you can do this. So, 你可以叫我 Steve. You can call me Steve. And then he says, 我是中文系的交换学生. 我是中文系的交换学生. I am. 中文 is again 中文 means Chinese, and 系 from the last lesson you might remember that it is the department at a university. So 中文系 is Chinese department, and now we have this mystical 的 particle, which is either the apostrophe s or it means of a kind or type of or something like that, and you have to look out what type of what is going to be. But in this case, I think it will be easier if you understand it as the apostrophe s, because what follows will be easier to understand. 交换学生, 交换 exchange, 学生 student, exchange student. 中文系的交换学生, Chinese department's exchange student. So I'm an exchange student of the Chinese department. So depending on how you choose to understand this 的, if it's apostrophe s, you don't have to change the word order. You just go 中文系的交换学生, Chinese department's exchange student. And if you choose to understand it as of, you have to switch the word order around and say exchange student of the Chinese department. Now, two things that I wanted to sort of mention when it comes to 交换学生. The first thing is how well we can use the fact that the word order in English and Chinese are often very similar. Because if you say 交换学生, it means exchange student, but as soon as you switch the word order and you have 学生交换, it just means student exchange, just like in English. So just by switching the word order, you change the meaning of the expression completely, which is not the case in all languages. This is only the case in isolating languages like English and Chinese. In my language, Slovak, which is strongly inflected, if you change the word order, nothing happens because you would have to change something in the word itself. Here, if you change the word order, you change the expression. So 交换学生 means exchange student, but 学生交换 would mean student exchange. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that you maybe have noticed that we have a 交 here and a 交 here. And the melody or the tone of these two syllables is different, and they have a different meaning. 交, like this, is to be called, and 交, like this, means to hand over or to exchange or something like that. Based on this alone, it might seem to you that tones are ridiculously important, because if you say 交, it means to be called, and if you say 交, it means to hand over or to exchange. It is true if you would only have these two words and nothing else, no context. You would have only 交 and 交, and then, of course, the tone is extremely important because it is the only thing that is distinguishing the meaning of these two syllables. But we are luckily in a situation where we have a lot of context. These two words behave very, very differently. They have different words that usually appear next to them. And with time and context, you will definitely be very skilled in knowing what these words mean, even if the tones are a little bit distorted. I was talking to a lot of my friends about this, and even to some Chinese people, and actually a lot of them confirmed that it is more the context and more how the word behaves in the sentence and what kind of words it is appearing next to that they understand what the word means, rather than what tone it is under. So I'm not dismissing Chinese tones. I know that they are very important. They are very important because you just will sound Chinese when you speak with correct tones. However, when it comes to how important they are to transmit the actual meaning, if they are completely isolated, of course, that's the only thing that is distinguishing the syllable. But when they are in context, when they are parts of words, when they are next to words that they usually appear next to, it's very difficult to confuse them, I think. There are few examples that I can think of right now where in a sentence, in context, if you mess up the tone, you would say something completely different. Maybe this is for a separate video, a topic for a separate video. Maybe I will make one. Again, I do know that tones are important, as are characters that are not appearing here. I'm just thinking that maybe it would be worth giving an experimental shot, trying to teach Chinese without characters and without tones, and then slowly add them with, I don't know, with time. So thank you very much for listening. Do leave a comment with any suggestions. Do leave a comment if you didn't understand something, or if my explanation was a little bit too shady, not too clear. Any suggestions, anything you think could be improved or is good. If you did like the lesson, hit the like button, write a comment anyway, and share the video if you like. And yeah, if the feedback is good, if you guys like these lessons, I will make more, and maybe eventually, maybe even turn it into a course. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.